The Port of Los Angeles, the Western Hemisphere's busiest, has been crucial for Canadian goods accessing global markets. Its streamlined operations have significantly reduced transit times, allowing products to reach far-off destinations much faster. However, the looming threat of tariffs has heightened attention on the port's activities as companies prepare for potential disruptions, risking a sharp slowdown in its typically bustling operations. This challenge is part of a broader, more divisive conflict across North America, not about trade routes or tariffs, but about a critical resource: water. A new dispute has arisen, moving beyond traditional trade conflicts like steel, lumber, or cars, focusing instead on Canada's rivers and lakes, which former President Donald Trump has claimed are vital to U.S. interests. As drought intensifies across the southern U.S., former President Donald Trump has targeted Canada's abundant freshwater resources, calling them essential for drought-ravaged states. His comments have turned a previously cooperative relationship into a tense confrontation with the potential to alter North America's power dynamics. Central to Trump's stance is the Columbia River, a 2,000-kilometer waterway flowing through British Columbia into the U.S., which he views as an untapped resource to alleviate America's drought-stricken regions and bring stability to desperate states.
British Columbia announced that the U.S. government has paused negotiations on the expansive Columbia River Treaty, saying the current administration is reviewing its international engagements. Now, the treaty is decades old. It regulates a number of ways in which the Columbia River is used, including flood control, power generation, and water supply.
Trump's demand came at a pivotal moment, just as talks to update the 1961 Columbia River Treaty, which governs flood control and hydroelectric benefits between the U.S. and Canada, were halted with one statement: he transformed water from a shared resource into a strategic bargaining tool, indicating that the U.S. sees Canada's rivers as critical assets for its survival. The reaction in Ottawa was one of shock. Advocacy groups, Indigenous communities, and environmental organizations quickly rallied. Over 80 coalitions spoke out, denouncing the demand as an attack on Canada's core identity. Prime Minister Mark Carney, typically recognized for his financial expertise rather than bold rhetoric, responded with unusual determination. He firmly stated that Canada's rivers and lakes were not commodities to be bartered to foreign governments, staunchly defending national sovereignty. His words resonated across North America, escalating routine diplomatic discussions into an international standoff. This refusal was more than a policy position. It marked a pivotal moment, observed with concern not only in North America, but in global capitals. The consequences were swift and widespread. In California's Central Valley, a key hub of U.S. agriculture responsible for nearly 40% of the nation's vegetables and two-thirds of its fruits and nuts, farmers faced empty canals and severely limited water allocations. Hopes for incoming water vanished, replaced by feelings of betrayal that spread across the agricultural heartland. Crop yields plummeted, harvests dwindled, and supermarket prices soared, adding pressure to families already grappling with inflation. Economists cautioned that shortages of lettuce, almonds, and tomatoes would ripple through global supply chains, transforming a political statement in Washington into a crisis impacting dinner tables nationwide. The agricultural sector was just the first to experience the repercussions. Trump had promoted Canadian water as vital for industrial expansion and technological advancement, and businesses had taken his promises seriously. In Arizona, large-scale semiconductor plants, which use tens of millions of gallons of water weekly, had counted on a reliable supply. In states like Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin, where Trump had pledged to boost steel and auto industries, water scarcity triggered layoffs and production delays. Steel mills cut production, assembly lines halted, and workers faced increasing uncertainty. The promise of national revival through resource independence faltered, replaced by concerns about sustaining factory output. Energy producers grappled with their own crisis. Hydroelectric plants in the Pacific Northwest, already strained by low reservoir levels, had relied on Canadian water reserves to bridge the gap. When that prospect disappeared, utilities shifted to coal and gas plants, undoing clean energy progress and raising consumer costs. What was touted as stability turned into scarcity and higher bills. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland, where tens of millions depend on the lakes for drinking water, were shaken. Long-standing trust in international agreements suddenly appeared vulnerable, and the idea that freshwater protections might be negotiated away left communities anxious. Markets responded quickly to the uncertainty. Investors began prioritizing water security, flagging agriculture, manufacturing, and technology as high-risk sectors. Agricultural stocks fell almost immediately, with concerns spreading to energy and tech firms reliant on water. This volatility drove up prices for food, energy, and electronics, impacting consumers directly. What started as a diplomatic dispute unleashed a cascade of effects across nearly every sector of the U.S. economy. For Canada, Prime Minister Carney's resolute stance marked a defining moment. By prioritizing sovereignty over short-term economic pressures, despite threats of U.S. retaliation, Canada signaled a shift. In the 20th century, global power hinged on oil. Today, water carries that same strategic significance. Canada's vast freshwater reserves, once a quiet asset for the U.S., have become a global flashpoint. This dispute has thrust Canada into a central role in the worldwide struggle over resources, mirroring conflicts like those over the Euphrates and Jordan rivers in the Middle East or the Mekong and Brahmaputra in Asia, where upstream and downstream nations vie for control. Trump's challenge to Canada has not only disrupted North America, but has also positioned Ottawa as a guardian of one of the world's most precious resources. The Columbia River Treaty, once a symbol of cross-border collaboration since its signing in 1961 for flood protection and hydroelectric benefits, now stands as a warning of strained cooperation. For decades, the Columbia River Treaty functioned seamlessly, but Trump's move to halt its renewal transformed it into a stark reminder that even enduring agreements can falter under strain. Governments worldwide took notice, reassessing their trust in American dependability. For Canada, the treaty underscored water's potential as a lever of national power. The Great Lakes, sustaining 40 million people and supporting hundreds of billions in commerce, heightened the crisis. Their shipping routes, linking North America to Europe, Africa, and Asia, the uncertainty surrounding the dispute has already shifted investment flows and heightened global concerns. Beyond North America, other powers are paying close attention. China, skilled at securing critical resources from African mines to Central Asian pipelines, is now focusing on Canada's water sector. Chinese firms are quietly exploring investment opportunities, offering capital for potential future access to resources. For Beijing, water is not merely a commodity, but a cornerstone for its industries and expanding cities, as strategically vital today as oil was for the West. History provides a stark warning. In the 1970s, oil unexpectedly became a geopolitical weapon when OPEC's embargo reshaped alliances overnight. Today, water holds similar disruptive power. Prime Minister Carney's rejection of Trump's demands was more than a defense of sovereignty. It was a bold assertion that Canada commands a resource capable of redefining global alliances. This message echoes beyond Washington. In Asia, governments facing droughts are pursuing long-term deals for Canadian agricultural exports, each agreement diminishing U.S. influence while boosting Canada's global stature. By 2030, unrelenting drought could grip much of the American West. The Port of Los Angeles, once a conduit for Canadian goods, now symbolizes a larger battle where water, not trade, shapes the future. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.